Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating mystery of the natural world, one that kind of directly questions our own place in it, honestly. I mean, have you ever looked out at a pristine, yet entirely untreated lake, or even just a muddy, stagnant puddle, and wondered about the massive biological divide between us and the rest of the animal kingdom? Well, today, we're going to explore the hidden, almost unbelievable biology of dirty water, and look at exactly why humans, out of literally all the creatures on Earth, are so fundamentally tied to purified water.
Okay, let's dive into this. Try to picture a scenario that's highly relatable and frankly, a little humbling for us humans. On the left, we've got a dog. Maybe it's even your dog. They find the absolute most disgusting, green, murky puddle on the street. You know, water that's just been sitting there festering since Tuesday, and they just start happily lapping it up. And 20 minutes later, they're perfectly fine, wagging their tail, probably trying to lick your face. But on the right, we have a human. If you or I drank from that exact same puddle, no way. We'd be in bed for a week, incredibly sick, and possibly even facing a trip to the hospital.
So this brings us to the core question driving the first half of our explainer today. How do animals just walk it off? How on earth do they drink water that would absolutely destroy a human digestive system and simply trot away? Well, the answer isn't just one simple magic trick. It's actually a really complex, stacked system built over millions of years of evolution. But before we get into those incredible defenses, we actually need to clear up a pretty major misconception.
Which brings us to Section 1, the myth of immunity.
Because the truth is, this whole premise that animals are completely immune to dirty water, it's a little misleading. We need a quick reality check about the harshness of the wild. As this quote perfectly captures, you're not seeing the full picture, you're seeing a survivor. Wild animals really do get sick from contaminated water. It happens all the time. They get infections, they weaken, and yeah, sometimes they die. But here's the thing. When an animal gets seriously ill in the wild, its very first instinct is to hide. It crawls deep into the undergrowth and stays completely out of sight. So when you're watching a majestic lion drinking from a swamp and just strolling away, you aren't seeing the ones that didn't make it. You're seeing the survivor. That being said, animals absolutely do survive these encounters far, far more often than we ever could.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how they pull that off. Let's look at Section 2, Carnivores and the Kill Chamber. Meat-eating pets and wild predators possess this incredibly savage, multi-layered biological defense system, and it happens in 3 rapid sequential steps. When a dog or a cat drinks dirty water, the defense begins instantly, right in the mouth, with antimicrobial saliva. Then, whatever manages to survive that drops into a stomach filled with extreme acid. Finally, the remaining material moves through a uniquely fast digestive tract. Let's break down exactly what happens at each stage of this biological gauntlet.
Step 1 is a literal chemical barrier right there in the mouth. You see, dog and cat saliva isn't just water. It's a highly active antimicrobial environment. Just look at this arsenal. You have lysozyme, which physically ruptures the cell walls of incoming bacteria. Then you have lactoferrin binding the iron, which essentially starves the bacteria of the nutrients they need to survive. Add in peroxidase, an antibacterial enzyme, and active patrol antibodies called immunoglobulins, and you've got a severe first line of defense. And by the way, this is the hidden biological reason why cats groom themselves so obsessively. They aren't just cleaning off dirt. They are literally applying a mild biological antimicrobial wash directly to their fur.
Now, any bacteria lucky enough to actually survive that potent saliva drops down into the stomach, where they hit this absolutely staggering number, a pH of 1.0 to 1.5. A dog's stomach is up to 10 times more acidic than ours. To put that into perspective, this environment is essentially a kill chamber. That level of acid is strong enough to literally dissolve solid bone. It's exactly why dogs can eat raw meat that would easily hospitalize us. Most pathogens simply incinerate upon arrival. And whatever manages to survive that? Well, a dog's digestive tract is very short, which means the food moves through incredibly quickly. Bacteria need time to colonize, and the carnivore system simply denies them that time.
But you know, it's not just hardware, it's software too. The real secret weapon here is microbiome familiarity. This isn't just some blanket immunity to everything. When a wild animal drinks from the same local pond every single day, its gut microbiome and immune system actually adapt to those specific local bacteria. The body catalogs the threats and has a customized response ready to go. It's a highly calibrated immune response built through ongoing low-level exposure. It's almost like a natural inoculation. And honestly, this is exactly why you shouldn't let your pampered domestic pet, who's used to drinking perfectly filtered tap water, suddenly drink from an unknown outdoor swamp. Their system just isn't primed for those novel, unfamiliar pathogens.
Let's move on and see how this builds in Section 3, Herbivores and the Microbiome Fortress.
So, we've talked about the incredibly fast, highly acidic systems of carnivores like dogs and cats, but what about animals that eat plants, like horses? Well, they have an entirely different biological strategy. Horses are what biologists call hindgut fermenters. Instead of relying on a highly acidic stomach to break down their food, the vast majority of their digestion happens much further down the line, in a massive internal fermentation chamber. They actually rely on a vast, incredibly dense community of microbes to process their food for them.
And the sheer scale of this is truly mind-boggling. 200 liters. That is the capacity of a full-size horse's gastrointestinal tract. Just the cecum alone, which is their primary fermentation chamber, holds around 30 liters. And inside this massive system lives one of the most diverse and dense microbial communities in the entire animal kingdom, packed with thousands of established bacterial species.
So the crucial point here is this. When a horse drinks from a murky river and swallows some bad bacteria, those pathogens don't just land in an empty vacuum. They land smack in the middle of a vast, thriving biological fortress. Every single available niche and resource is already claimed by the horse's established microbiome. The incoming pathogens are completely outcompeted by the resident bacteria simply existing and taking up space. It's basically a game of numbers and real estate, and the new pathogens lose every time.
Which deeply pivots us to the core focus of this explainer, Section 4, the human trade-off.
We've seen the acid kill chambers of carnivores and the sprawling microbiome fortresses of herbivores. So why are humans so fundamentally different? Why do we explicitly need purified water to survive? Well, if we look at this timeline of human history, it paints a pretty clear picture. Millennia ago, humans absolutely did drink from natural rivers and streams, and frankly, waterborne diseases were one of the leading causes of death. But then, we discovered fire. By cooking our food, we started killing pathogens before we even swallowed them. Fast forward to the modern era, and we went a step further, inventing massive water treatment infrastructure.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate divergence between us and the rest of the animal kingdom. The animal strategy was to evolve extreme internal guts to handle contamination. The human strategy? Well, we figured out how to remove the contamination before it ever reached our bodies. We literally externalized our filtration system.
We made a permanent evolutionary trade-off. Because we began relying on fire and clean water infrastructure, our biology actually changed to match. We optimized for a clean life. Today, human stomach acid sits between 1.5 and 3.5 on the pH scale, which is significantly weaker than a dog's. Our microbiomes are no longer hardened by daily exposure to dirty water. They are completely calibrated for cleanliness. Our defense focus shifted entirely from internal biology to external infrastructure. We didn't just get physically weak out of nowhere, we redirected our evolutionary effort. A dog evolved a kill chamber in its stomach, and we built a water treatment plant. And honestly, when you think about it, our solution scales a whole lot better.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question. Have we lost our natural resilience, or simply traded it for the greatest public health achievement in human history? Our modern detachment from nature might make us seem fragile when you compare us to a dog drinking from a muddy puddle, but our technologies literally spare us from the continuous, deadly risks that wildlife confront every single day. The next time you turn on your tap to get a glass of perfectly purified water, take a moment to appreciate the unbelievable infrastructure keeping you safe, and the wild, savage biology of the animals out there doing it all on their own. Thanks so much for joining me today, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.